Power grid reliability is a big issue these days. We had the crisis in California last summer, and just last month, and we had another one in Texas. And firm power from hydroelectric dams is one way to make grids more stable as the percentage of intermittent generation from wind and solar rises. But new work from Hannah Cohen, a student in the Johns Hopkins School of Advanced International Studies, Master of Arts in Sustainable Energy program, suggests U.S. permit requirements and regulations are stifling the growth of hydropower in the United States. So we're going to talk to her. Welcome to the interview, Hannah.
Thanks so much. It's great to be here.
Now, why don't we start with an overview of your blog post? If you just give us, hit the highlights, please.
Sure, absolutely. So I was studying as part of my program research the impact of the Hydropower Regulatory Efficiency Act of 2013 on small hydropower, conventional hydropower development in the United States. And what my hypothesis was going in is that this act increased the capacity, qualifying capacity limit for a license exemption from 5 megawatts to 10 megawatts. And I thought, hey, great. There's going to be a lot more hydropower, small hydro being developed in the United States. Let's see what happened. And the more I looked into it, I found that, in fact, the number of license exemptions for small hydro projects in the United States decreased from 13 to 7 projects. And actually the capacity, the total capacity decreased from around just over 4 megawatts to under 3 megawatts as well. So really the question became, increasing this capacity is not really the right way to go about improving small hydro development. So what is, and what are the problems?
And a little bit of background, according to the Department of Energy, there's up to 50 gigawatts of hydropower available to be developed from non-powered dams. And those are dams that have been constructed for irrigation and recreation and what have you, 80,000 of them in the United States. But they can take up to 10 years to get permitted and approved. Have I got that correct?
Yes, absolutely. So the idea is that these non-powered dams create an opportunity for a lower impact development for hydro. There, between the 1930s and 1970s, was the majority of hydro capacity added to the grid, but it was from these large dam developments. And there's been a trend in recent years to focus on low impact or smaller hydropower projects. So of these 80,000 dams, with only 3% being powered, there's really a lot of opportunity if the permitting and licensing process can be streamlined to get those projects off the ground to combat climate change, which is our biggest threat in recent years, and what hydropower is uniquely suited as a dispatchable renewable resource to support the growth of intermittent renewables.
So if I understand this correctly, Hannah, President Obama brings in the 2013, this new act designed to do the very things you're talking about, it seems. And it's like the law of unintended consequences. It has the opposite effect. Why is that, do you think?
I'm not sure if it has the opposite effect, but I do believe that the impact was maybe not what was anticipated or hoped for. This decrease in the number of exemptions is really representative of the issue of increased state and other federal agency involvement in the licensing process. FERC is the sole authority for providing licenses for hydropower projects, but with the late 60s and 70s environmental protection laws that were introduced, it also introduced state involvement in the process through the Clean Water Act with the water quality certificates and the endangered species preservation. So it really is not so much about what size of project should we promote, but more how can we streamline the process so that there are binding time limits and guarantees for hydropower developers to know how to work through the process and also how long it's going to take to reduce costs and timeframes.
Final question, Hannah. Are you confident or have you identified in your research that there's concern about this act and about the excessive regulation and permitting requirements, and that there's discussion underway to make the improvements necessary to give small hydro a boost.
Absolutely. I'm very positive about the potential for developers and the government to work together in partnership. Just recently with the American Water Infrastructure Act of 2018, FERC was able to formalize a 2-year licensing process to expedite licensing. And it also was able to look to extend the preliminary permit and construction timelines, and also update the scope, or look to update the scope and timeline for the water quality certificate. So there is progress being made, and there really is an opportunity to improve some of the other things that are presenting as stumbling blocks for the industry. So removing the integrated licensing process as a default process, or even just making it easier to transition from an exemption application to a license application. Under the current framework, a developer has to start all over if their their exemption application is dismissed. So there are definitely many opportunities and ways to create a great partnership between developers and the government to promote small hydropower development.
Well, thank you very much for this, Hannah. And for viewers, I will link to Hannah's blog post in the YouTube description area, so that if you want to follow up on some of the more the details of these processes and the changes that are coming, you can do that. And Hannah, thank you very much. Really appreciate this.
Wonderful. It was great to be here. Thank you.